Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on our Little Italy of Los Angeles podcast. I'm your host, Deborah Zara Kobylt. And joining us today is Jillana Miller. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here.
So excited to have you. You're local. You're over there in San Pedro, and you are the co-owner of
Yes.
Miller Butler Pasta, which has sort of taken off since you started this company just last year under like COVID, right?
Yes, we are coming up on close to our first year anniversary of the brand and also our marriage. So a lot happening in 1 year.
Oh
It's
my
been really
gosh.
amazing and just excited to be growing.
Now, we want to talk about your background, how you got into this. But
Okay.
beforehand, first, I want to talk about what is your company? What do you do? And also talk a little bit about, you're going to be hosting some, I think, cooking opportunities and classes with Little Italy of Los Angeles. So why don't we talk about that first? So
Yeah,
people, if they're
absolutely.
tuning in at the top, go ahead.
Right. Okay. So we are Miller Butler Pasta. Our main thing that we do is fresh pasta. We do dried shelf-stable pasta. But we are also kind of just a food organization. We do catering, cooking classes, kind of community work, a lot of different stuff. And the cooking classes with Little Italy are a lot of fun. We actually have one going on tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. It's a little too late to sign up for that one, but you still have time to sign up for the following classes in March. We're doing a full series covering the classic Italian pasta, if I could speak, classic Italian pasta dishes like pomodoro, or tomorrow we're doing bucatini carbonara, and then the final one will be a pasta primavera for kind of spring celebration. And each class will include our fresh pasta. So we'll be utilizing that. And you also get a full kit of all fresh ingredients, some of them locally sourced. So it makes it really turnkey. You just sign up, you pick up or have your kit delivered, and then we meet in a Zoom room and do a really fun class. It's a great opportunity to, meet new members of the community, learn a new dish, find out about new ingredients, and also learn a little bit about Italian culture and learn a little more about what's going on with Little Italy, because there's a lot going on, a lot to come. And so that's pretty much the classes.
Yeah, we're a super vibrant community down there. But you know what I love about what you're doing? Okay. It's sort of like foolproof, right? I don't have to go out and buy my pasta and my olive oil or whatever. It
Right.
comes in a little kit, it's delivered to your house, and all you
Right.
do is turn on the Zoom and get your classes going. So for people who are interested, right, we just go to our Little Italy of Los Angeles pages and they can sign up for the next one. So thank you for doing all that. It's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Yeah, they can actually sign up on millerbutler.com is where they'll sign
Ah,
up. But Little Italy does have information on it.
okay.
Either way,
So,
either source you go through, we'll have the info for you and direct you in the right direction.
right. Right, and it'll lead all roads lead to Miller Butler Pasta,
Yes.
so that's great.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about you because your background is fascinating. You grew up in California,
Yes.
and let's start with grandma, because didn't your grandmother, who's Italian, have like a garden where you grew up? You would always go visit her, and then dad was a very well-known chef, right? So I always like to talk about people's background because that's what sort of forms who you are today, right, Jillana?
Absolutely, yeah. And Miller Butler is totally based in roots and family roots. I grew up surrounded by a lot of food. I think if you're Italian, that's kind of a no-brainer. That's just what happens. You're surrounded by
Oh,
food.
definitely.
We also are a food family. My grandmother, Sonia Costello, lived, and her mother, Ida Costello, had a home in San Gabriel, and they had a beautiful backyard full of citrus, which was a big part of the food that they prepared. It was kind of like even a joke in the family that there was always this like lemonade or lemon curd or lemon cakes and things that they would make from the backyard, and fresh basil. And lots of beautiful meals that we grew up on there, a lot of Italian classics, both Sicilian and Northern Italian. So that's kind of how it was with my grandma. And then my father, Sonia's son, became a chef from a young age, self-taught, grew up in the kitchen of a lot of accomplished chefs, French chefs, learned the classics, worked with Wolfgang, and really built a name for himself. Had a few restaurants, one in Santa Barbara, one in Ventura, one in Ojai. So my life was in the kitchen, opening these restaurants, running these restaurants with my family, learning the trade, kind of under the harsh discipline as well of my father, who was very serious about learning the craft. Yeah,
Right.
so
And it wasn't always a
sorry, go
it
ahead.
wasn't always it wasn't always Italian, right? Because you were telling me he also had sort of a Cajun flair, right, as well
Right.
to some of his food, which is kind of neat. Tell me a little bit about that. And how did he develop that? Was that just, something that he wanted to do to stand out, or just what he enjoyed doing?
That's a great question. So yeah, my father, Chef Frank Miller, he was inspired. That was way back. That's when I was a baby. We took a lot of trips to New Orleans when I was just a little baby, so he could do research on Creole food. And his draw to the cuisine, if I remember correctly, kind of stemmed from one, the neighborhoods that he grew up in LA, in South LA, and then also just kind of pulling, like growing up on so much Italian food, you always kind of gain interest in other things as well, right? You're like, oh, I want a little shift. And, Creole food is really interesting too. It has flavors from all over the world. It's kind of the world cuisine. It's got French flavors, it's got African flavors, it's got Cuban flavors, it's got Spanish flavors. It's a very global cuisine. So he was really fascinated with Creole food. And so he started going down to New Orleans, went to Jazz Fest, tasted like as much food as he could, and eventually opened Cajun Poulet in Santa Barbara in State Street, on State Street when I was just a little baby. And that's kind of, that style of food has also made its mark in my style as well. In our house, we do a lot of what we call like Creole Italian, where the two kind of marry, and they marry really well.
How do you do that? Like, what ingredients do you
What's
use where the two are sort of combined? Because that's
right?
very unique and different. I love that. I got to
It
come down
is.
there and
It
have you
is, and
you
I
cook
love
some
it.
of
I
that for me.
love
Yeah.
the combo. So, what would a good example be? Okay, so we do a one of our most popular raviolis, which we don't have available all the time. We do them as a seasonal item, but we can do them for a custom order. Is our sweet corn and crab ravioli. So those are a really wonderful full ravioli that have a little bit of southern spice and Creole flavors with fresh, vibrant crab and the sweetness of the corn. And we usually finish those in a cognac butter, just a quick cognac butter sauce.
Wow.
And so, you're utilizing the medium of an Italian ravioli and a little bit of ricotta and a little bit of parm and marrying it with those deep kind of spicy flavors of the South, and you get a really beautiful result.
That is so unique. That is absolutely beautiful. I love it.
Thank
So
you.
you've been cooking with dad, learning the craft from dad.
Mhm.
But you at one time said, you know what, do I really want to be in the family business? You took off, wait, right? You went to Reno and
Yes.
you started, what did you do? You ended up blogging about food, right? It's like you just
Yeah,
couldn't get away.
I've always loved writing, and I've always loved
Yeah.
food. And at that time of my life, I think I was like 18, 17 or 18. Um, and yeah, so I wanted to explore the writing world a little bit more and thought, okay, well, the first step is to get published, right? So I just thought, I'm going to start submitting very sort of haphazardly. So, I was like, I'm going to submit some places. What am I going to write about? And of course, I was like, well, I'll write about food. So I wrote a little article about my belief on the importance of, I was also really into nutrition. And the article was on my belief in the importance of enjoying your food as part of nutrition, that it's not just about eating sticks and seeds. That's not how we become healthy. It's about the joy of joining with your friends and family, very much of an Italian concept as well, in
Of
terms of
course.
health. And so I just wrote this one little article and submitted it to a local magazine. And then she was like, I love this. Do you want to do a column? And, next thing you know, I was needing to create recipes every month. So got my hands back in the food and yeah, so I did that for a year and eventually ended up falling into the private chef thing. And so I think
Right.
the chef thing, it just kind of kept coming back to me.
It would not let you go, right? It
No,
just wouldn't let you go. You'd
no,
leave
and I'm
town
so
and you
happy
came,
it didn't. I
right?
wouldn't change it for the world. It's food life is a good life.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. So when you say that you were a private chef, talk about some of the extraordinary people and that we all know, that you did work for, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have been very blessed to work with a lot of amazing leaders and masters in their craft. My first client was Rick Rubin, who some of you may or may not know is one of the best producers out there, kind of legendary.
For
He
people who
produced,
don't know, for people who don't know, let's tell them,
for people who
some of the
don't
people that he.
know, Rick Rubin has produced everyone from Jay-Z to Johnny Cash.
There you
He
go.
goes way
From
back.
Jay-Z to Johnny Cash. That's everything. And then he tapped you, right? Your dad was working with him, right? And then
He
didn't
was,
you end
yeah.
up,
And
go ahead, tell the
oh,
story.
sorry, no, yeah, yeah, he was working for him, and I was still kind of resistant to the whole private chef thing, to be totally honest with you.
Right.
Like, I don't know about cooking for rich people. It sounds like a lot.
Oh no.
Sounds like a lot. But Rick had a really unique, healthy diet, and like I said at that time, I was really dialed into learning about nutrition and unique alternative diets. I was sort of fascinated with that, especially growing up on the classics. I was like, oh, you can do it this way. That's really interesting. Now I'm totally in love with being back to the classics. But trust me, that those adaptations are so helpful to have in my back pocket. Um,
Right, right.
that being said, my dad didn't, he's like, I think this would be a better fit, and I kind of fell into that role with Rick. Um, and so that was a really interesting first private chef job because it was like a huge catalyst for creativity. At times, I felt like I wanted to pull my hair out. It was just some of the most, I mean, there could be no flour in the house at times, no sugar, no nothing. It was very clean, very whole ingredient type of cooking. And so I had to do a lot of adaptation, and it was a lot of fun and good training. And
And you met some extraordinary people through that job, right? Who were
I
some of
did,
the
yeah.
other clients that you work with? I know you told me that you worked for Kobe Bryant and his family
I
in their
did.
home.
Yeah.
Um, Cooking
Hmm.
for an athlete and his family is certainly a whole different thing, right? Just the amount of calories they have to consume and what they have to consume. What was that like working in his home? And I know that you've also worked for other athletes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Kobe was an amazing experience, and you're absolutely right about cooking for an athlete is a whole new thing. Fortunately, I'd worked for a few different other athletes prior to that. I'd worked with Josh Smith and Tristan Thompson and a couple of other people, and a lot of other artists. So by the time I'd gotten there, I was familiar with the need for more calories on board and all that. But of course, Kobe was an extraordinary opportunity. I mean, he's a worldwide legend, leader, inspiration. And I feel so blessed that I had the opportunity to work with him and his family. He, in person and in his home, was just as inspiring as he was on television and on the court. He was very intelligent, very much always leading, and loved Italian food. As a lot of you guys probably know, he spent a lot of time in Italy. So he loved Italian food, and one of his
Yeah.
favorites was chicken piccata, which technically is not Italian. It's kind of Italian American, but he did love that. And what else can I say about that? I mean, it was a really difficult experience to have that loss for so many people. But what an inspiration he's been.
When you cook privately for people, what did you learn about your own business? Because obviously it's all one big flow, right? What did you
Right.
learn about that you carried over into the business you have now?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, that's a great question. There's a lot that you learn working privately. I think it's definitely a very niche, it's a niche position in cooking because it is very one-on-one. It's very intimate. You're always tailoring something directly. If I'm working for you, Deborah, I'd be tailoring your food for you and your diet and what you like and all those things. So, I think extreme attention to detail is a big one. I think definitely, when you work with a high profile clientele, you want to bring everything to the highest level of quality. You bring your bar all the way up. You know what I mean? When you go to try out for someone like Kobe Bryant or Diddy or Mary J. Blige or DJ Khaled or any of these big names, you're like, it's got to be top shelf. Everything has to be top shelf. And that same sentiment that I put into my work for these A-list clients is everything that we put into Miller Butler. Nothing changes there. So I think that's probably one of the main things, is that it's just that kind of top shelf mentality, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%. Your game
Yeah.
is up here. That's it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
what I love is that you're bringing that to Miller Butler. Let's talk a little bit about Miller Butler. Okay. You've had a whirlwind year, honestly. You
Yeah.
met your husband last year. You got
Yeah.
married last year. Actually, I'll have you tell me all that. And then you formed this company with him, which is very, very interesting. Tell me about your husband, how you guys met and how you did this all within a year. And it's become like super popular already. I don't know how you've done all that.
Yeah, it's we've been kind of catching our breath recently. It's been amazing. It's freezing in this room, by the way. I'm trying to find my jacket that I got in here. Pardon me
Good.
for
Go
a
ahead. Put it
second.
on. No,
Yeah,
no, no.
it's an ice box in here. So yeah, we met last year, and it was just right. It was actually shortly after, I mean, not to get cheesy here, but it was shortly after Kobe's passing that he had been wanting to get married, and I was like, I'll be ready soon. Just, I'll be ready. So just let me know when you're ready. And after that happened, I was like, I'm ready, because I know how tight knit of a family they were. And it hit pretty hard.
Where did he grow up?
Where did he grow up? He grew up Compton, mostly all over LA. Eventually Riverside. He went to Banning High. So all over LA.
And was food part of his life too?
Yeah, it was, as a matter of fact. When I meet friends from his past, they're like, oh yeah, Ahmad was always cooking. He always kind of wanted to be in the food industry. He always wanted to be a chef, really. And it's amazing watching him grow in the pasta world and the dough world. He's really mastering our pizza dough recipe. It's just blowing me away and making me so proud. I'm like, wow. So he's always wanted to cook more. Prior to that, however, he's been in the hotel industry, working for Marriott and Hilton, and doing food service with them, working as a food and beverage manager. And that's what he was doing when we met. So we kind of had some interests to share there in terms of food service. Yeah, so anyway, so we met last year and had planned on getting married on March 23rd, which is coming right up. But then the world really started changing very quickly, and we expedited our marriage and got married on the 7th. We realized we weren't going to be able to get married unless we did it right then. We saw the world shutting down, so we ran to Vegas and got married on March 17th of last year, so next week. And we spent our honeymoon in quarantine, building a business.
I think that's beautiful. You guys live down, right, in San Pedro, correct?
Yes, we do.
You know what I love? We're going to talk a little bit about your company and what you provide, right? I know that you have bagged pastas. We want to talk about the different types and shapes. I know you change things per season, but I love something you do with the community, and it is called Pizza on the Block. I got really excited about that, right? That is one of the coolest things ever. Tell us about that, because I'm sure now people are just going to sort of show up. When do you do it, and what is it?
Yes, this is my favorite day of the week, hands down. We do it every Sunday, right here in San Pedro, right in front of our home, on May 15th. We have the address on our website, and it's a great day. We pop up in front of our house with a little pizza oven. We shape the doughs right. We have a really great setup with a tent, and we shape the doughs right out on the street. We make fresh pizza, fire them. They take about 3 to 5 minutes if no one's in line, but if they're in line, they take a little longer, obviously. But it's just a great community event. It's allowed us to meet so many wonderful people from the neighborhood. We've also had people come from different parts of LA. We lower the prices a little bit for our
That's what I was
neighborhood.
going to say. That's what I was going to say. You lower the price based on, your clientele. If you think that maybe some folks are coming from a certain neighborhood, they can't afford $20 a pizza. I don't really know what you
Right,
charge.
right.
You're just balanced about the entire situation, right? Because
We
you
are.
want it to be about the community, not
We do.
about who can afford the pizza, right?
Right. Yeah, we decided to do that because it was really it started on a whim. We do another pop-up in Los Feliz at the Los Feliz Flea, and that one's really fun. Great community. And one night we came back from that, and I thought, I said, why don't we just try setting up tomorrow downstairs? And my husband was like, okay, let's just do it. I'm like, we're doing it. So we did it, and that first day we just met such great people, and there were a couple people that came by, and they were like, how much is the pizza? And I said $10, or I said, I'm sorry, we hadn't lowered the prices yet. And they said, how much is the pizza? And I said $15. And they were like, oh, okay, like, could you do 10? And I was like, yeah, I could do 10. I could do 10 for sure,
Amazing.
And then once it was 10, sometimes there's people that are like, could you do like 7? Like there's people around here that would really help them out. And obviously we can't give our pizzas away all the time, but we will do whatever we
Yeah.
can to accommodate the community, because from this opportunity of us setting up out there, we've just realized what amazing human beings we're surrounded by, and how much it's appreciated as well. There's not a lot of fresh food around here, so we feel like it's a great thing, and we want it to grow.
Also, food is community, right?
Absolutely. Yep. There's some neighbors that live a couple of doors down. We used to joke that they were like in witness protection, okay? Because they have this beautiful, pristine house. We never saw them. Obviously, it's a joke. Never saw them. And then the pizza thing, they finally come out. We get to know them.
Right.
They're
Running out every
New
week for that
Orleans.
pizza.
What's
Right.
that?
Running out every week for that pizza, right?
Right. They come out. They're a beautiful couple from New Orleans. We have plenty to talk about. You know what I mean? If they would have maybe never crossed paths with us had we not set up the pizza. They bring us crawfish sometimes when they do crawfish boils. So it's really a great. Like you said, food is community.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about what your company offers, right? You do the classes. Tell us about the classes. Tell us about the dried pasta, the boxed pasta, the refrigerated pasta. Tell us everything.
Okay. So the classes, education is a really big thing for us at Miller Butler. We believe that, education on food is power. Cooking brings a lot of joy to people. And a lot of people have never really delved into it because they feel intimidated or whatever. So we're really big on helping in that area. We do a couple different types of classes. We do group classes through Little Italy, which would be on Zoom for now until we can be in person.
Can't wait.
Pasta classes, if you want to learn pasta, we can do that over Zoom individually, one-on-one. And I also do one-on-one cooking classes with anyone really. For now, it's been with kind of some of my high-profile clients where I do one-on-one classes with them virtually. And it's more than just a cooking class, it's cooking coaching. So I send a list, everything they need to get, they go do the shopping. We meet on either Zoom or FaceTime, and I walk them through. I'm not even cooking, I'm just walking them through it. And it really helps them sharpen their knife skills. And by the end of a few classes, I'm seeing, NBA stars like sauteing and flambeing, and it's really awesome. So we do the one-on-ones, we do the group classes, and when things open up again, we'll do some in-person stuff. In terms of our product, we have fresh pasta, which lasts about 2 weeks in the fridge. You can order that on our website. And we're eventually going to be selling more wholesale. We have a couple of local restaurants serving it right now. Wide Eyes
Great.
in Long Beach, and also Shady Groves in Long Beach. And then the Peninsula Club up north is also serving it on their menu. So little by little, we'll be getting into more restaurants. For the fresh, we have fresh bucatini, which is like spaghetti but hollow in the middle. My absolute favorite cut. We've got fresh
Mm.
rigatoni, fresh fusilli, fresh rigatoni, the classics, fresh spaghetti. We also have a couple unique options that were designed for some of my athlete clients to help both carb load and also help reduce inflammation. So we have some turmeric pastas. We have a turmeric spaghetti.
Oh,
Has become very popular. I think this is the turmeric fusilli. We have this one right here. So this would be the dried version. But we also do a turmeric spaghetti, which we really love for like Asian type dishes. Garlic noodles is a real hit with those. And then we do our seasonal raviolis. All of these things you can find on our website at millerbutler.com.
we've got to get you down to our farmers market that we do every Friday right there in San Pedro. I'm telling you, you'll probably sell out the first hour of
I
your
would love to
stuff,
be there.
really.
Yeah, we go down there and visit. It's more been a schedule conflict so far, but we're looking
Yeah.
forward to hopefully getting in there maybe in the summertime.
Yeah, I have to tell you, the two of you have done so much within a year. It's so tough to get a business going. And here within a year, look what you've accomplished with the community, with selling your pastas, you're in restaurants now and you're giving classes and doing the pizza on the block. What's your big goal? What is it that you want to do? Where do you see yourselves, let's say a year from now? I can't even imagine. I would say 5, but in 5 years you'll be taking over the world. But what do you, in about a year, do you have a goal?
Thank you. That means a lot. Thanks for saying that. We've worked really, really hard. And for the most part, sorry, I'm a little congested. For the most part, it's been just a team of two. So it feels good to hear that. We're a work in progress.
I'm drinking with you.
Thank you. Cheers. Yeah, so I think we have a lot of goals. Ultimately, we would like to have a storefront here in San Pedro. We'd like to be a part of this growing community here, this growing food community, because it's such a beautiful place. It's a unique part of Los Angeles with so much culture, and we feel like this would be a great home for Miller Butler. So we'd love to have a storefront where we have a fresh pasta that you can pick up there and, have a bigger staff and all of that. And then also just have our product out further out on the globe, you know what I mean? Bigger shops, bigger restaurants, things like that. And then ultimately, more on a sentimental goal note, we would really just love to be able to interact with our community more. We really are big on giving back. We both understand the importance of food and food in health, mental health, physical health, all of that. And this year with the pandemic, there's just been a lot of things in that regard that have affected children. I grew up on the lunch program at one point in my life. So, these kids that are at home without lunch to count on is like a really big deal. So any way that we can help in that department as well, we would love to be involved in. Hopefully kids will be getting back in school, but yeah, I went on a little bit of a rant. So ultimately our goal would be to have a storefront and just grow the brand and continue to work with our community in any way that we can.
So people can find you in San Pedro. First of all, just go to the website, right? They can figure out where they can go on Sunday to get the pizza on the block. I just love that idea. To me, that is the coolest, because I grew up where we were just like all out front and somebody was cooking something, somebody ran into somebody's house for food. And I know that San Pedro is that kind of community. And the fact that you're adding to that is, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, they call me the pizza lady.
They call you the pizza lady. I love it.
Call me the pizza
people
lady.
Probably showing up on their bicycles and stopping by for their pizza. And as this pandemic slowly starts to not really go away, but as things open up, I think that's going to really prove to be quite a success. And why do I just feel like soon enough you're going to have that storefront restaurant? I really do, and shop. So once again, let's give a quick shout out to what you're going to be doing this week with Little Italy of Los Angeles, the cooking classes, right? Just go on your website.
Yeah. We've been busy packing all week for those and getting everything ready. We've got some beautiful local bacon. We've got some local honey as well. So what we do for those classes, I explained a little before, it's a series of the classic pasta dishes. We're teaming up with Little Italy of Los Angeles, and we are teaching these classic pasta dishes via Zoom. Our first class of the series is tomorrow. There's 3 classes in the series, one on bucatini, which is tomorrow, one on rigatoni, which will be the following Thursday.
Wow.
They're all on Thursdays, and then one on the following Thursday, which will be fusilli primavera. So you can go online to our website. You can look at all of the menus. If you want to do the next 2, you can do that. Or if you want to just do one of the next 2, you can do that. Again, when you buy 1 ticket, you get a meal kit for 2. So you can do this with your partner, your family. I have one woman doing it with her son, which I think is just awesome.
That's great. My son is the cook in our family. I have to tell you, he hand rolls all of his own pastas. It's wonderful.
Amazing.
He doesn't have a lot of patience with me though. It's like, Mom, you know, so I have to sort of get him to sit down with me a little bit, but he's the cook in our family.
How old is he?
How old is he? He's 22.
Okay,
so he's phenomenal. When in college, he just rolls out all his own pasta, and he made all his stuff, you know, by hand, and he gets everything flown in, you know, from Naples, I believe, because my family is from southern Italy, and it's sort of relaxing for him.
Very
it's
cool.
wonderful. So I love that he does that.
So,
but I'm so excited. Go ahead. I'm so
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm just very excited that you joined us today. I think your entrepreneurial spirit, your community spirit is just fantastic. So thank you so much for joining us. People, go see her on Sundays. Again, address and everything is on the website. All products on the website. If you want to schedule cooking classes, reach out to her. I'm sure that you answer everything on Instagram too,
Feel
right?
free to reach out to us. We also, you know, we're big on Instagram. That's where we post most of our, I feel like that's where most of our live stuff that we do goes.
Right.
In terms of events and little special items we throw on the menu, stuff like that. So be sure to check us out there. And thanks for having me. It was really great talking to you.
Absolutely wonderful. We look forward to tomorrow night.
Yes.
Joining up with Little Italy. And everybody, please look up Miller Butler Pasta. She's everywhere on Facebook and just anywhere else. Reach out on Instagram. Reach out to our page, please, on Little Italy of Los Angeles Association pages. And we're just excited to have interviewed you today. So thank you so much. I'm your host for this podcast, Deborah Zara Kobylt. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. And we'll see you next time.
It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
It's a lot of fun. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.